everyone, it's Megan. Today we are going to be learning parts of the horse, and it's really important as we go through our virtual programming that you learn this terminology because we are going to be referring to it a lot in the future. So you will be getting a handout emailed to you that looks like this. Don't look too hard at the right answers because I want you to attempt to fill it out before you play this video. It's sort of a matching activity to see which parts of the horse that you already know. And in this video, I'm going to be revealing the correct parts of the horse so that you know in the future what we're referring to when we talk about certain terminology. So I have some labels that I'm going to be sticking all over Dreamer. We'll see how he feels about it. You might see him giving me a little side eye or swishing of the tail. So you can start practicing reading some horse body language as well. So we're gonna start with the back, which is number 24 on your worksheet. The back, he's like, oh, you're not sticking those things on me. The back is right here, and that's where we'll be putting the saddle on. Next is the withers, which is number 8 on your worksheet. The withers start at the base of his neck, and it's this big bump here, and we'll be referring to that as well when we talk about tacking the horse up, putting their blanket on. Withers are right there. Next is the hip, which is number 23 on your handout. He has one on each side of his hindquarters. And the shoulder, which is number 11 on your handout, also one on each side of his front end here. The shoulder kind of falls at this angle right here. So next is the hoof, which is number 14 on your handout. He has 4 of them. Let's see if he'll keep this on. The hoof is actually made out of the same material that your fingernails are made out of, and they grow just like your fingernails as well. And that is something that we'll get into as we progress in our virtual programming. But the hooves have to be trimmed just like our fingernails. Next is the chest, which is number 12 on your handout. The horse's chest is right here, base of his neck. Next is the girth, which is number 16. So the girth is actually right where we attach the girth of the saddle, and it kind of starts here and goes right behind his front legs here. This is the girth area. Next is the mane, which is number 10 on your handout. Dreamer's mane is right here. It's the hair that falls on your horse's neck. And an interesting fact about the mane is there are no nerve endings at the base of his mane, so you can pull on it and they don't usually care. Next is the elbow, which is number 15 on your handout. His elbow is right back here. So far, he doesn't seem to be minding too much. Next is the tail, which is number 21 on your handout. The tail is really important. It helps them swat flies and bugs off of them, especially as we get into the warmer months. And they actually, in a herd dynamic, they sometimes stand head to tail with each other, and the horse in front of them will swash their tail for the other horse to get the bugs off their face. And work together. So next is the pastern, which is number 19 on your worksheet. The pastern is right here. I'll show it to you before. It's this area right here, right above the hoof. Keep that on, buddy. Next is the Chestnut, which is number 18 on your handout. So we'll have to zoom in pretty close here. The Chestnut, he has two of them, one on each front leg, and they're sort of a hard, crusty material, and it actually grows and eventually falls off. And it sort of doesn't really serve a purpose anymore. It dates back to prehistoric times when the horse was three-toed, and it is left over from that. Next is the knee, which is number 13 on your handout. His knees are right here. And next is the forelock, which is number 2 on your handout. So what I always do to help myself remember what the forelock is it's on their forehead and it's a lock of hair. So this is his forelock up here. And it grows sort of at the same rate as his mane. We'll see if we'll keep this on. Good boy. Next is his neck, which is number 9. Their necks are so strong. And it's this whole area here. You also might see, if you have done research about the parts of the horse, you may have seen that the top of their neck, which we don't have on the worksheet today, is called the crest. And we do refer to that sometimes in our programming. So next are the ears, which is number 1 on your handout. The ears are very important in communicating with the horse and the horse communicating with each other. We can tell a lot about the way a horse is feeling by the way that their ears are. So you can see tonight his ears are floppy. He's pretty relaxed, although he doesn't know what I'm doing to him. He trusts us and he knows that we're not going to hurt him. And then he heard a noise out in the barn. The birds are going crazy. And his ears went forward. That means that he's looking or he's alert. You could hear him just sigh there. And they went back to relaxed. Now, you don't see this too much out of Dreamer, but if his ears were like this, that means you are doing something, or someone around him is doing something that he does not like. They're angry, they're frustrated, and a lot of times you'll see them communicating with other horses that way, that they want them to move out of their space. So you can tell a lot about the way he's feeling by his ears, and he's probably not going to like this. All right, so next is the throat, which is number 7 on the handout. And his throat is right in here, sort of located right where ours would be. And then we have the hock, which is located on the hind legs. And I'll show it to you before I stick on the label, but he has one on each side. Right here is the hock. There we go. The croup is number 22 on your handout. We kind of tell a funny joke here. Croup rhymes with poop. That's how you can remember where it is, because the croup is right on top of their hind end here. All right, the eye, and we are not obviously going to stick this in his eye, but I will point out that horses have the biggest eye out of any mammal, and their vision is another important thing to keep in mind when communicating with a horse. So for example, their eyes are placed on the side of their heads, which means that they can see almost 360 degrees around them. They cannot see directly in front of them. They have a blind spot, and they cannot see directly behind them. They have a blind spot back there as well. But they have a very wide range of vision, so when we talk about horse safety, we always say don't stand directly behind the horse, and you don't want to approach a horse head on either. So I'm not going to stick these on his eyes, but we'll stick them here and see how he feels about that. You're being a very good sport about this, Dreamer. So next is the jaw, number 6 on your handout, and his jaw, again, right sort of where ours would be located, it's right here. And the muzzle is number 5. Their muzzles are very soft. You can see on his muzzle and on all horses' muzzles they have whiskers. And those whiskers help them detect the area around them, especially at night. So we never trim our horses' whiskers off of their muzzles. So next we have the ribs, number 17 on your handout. And the ribs, you can't usually see them, although sometimes you can see a brief or a small outline of them. The ribs, if you run your fingers along, you can just feel them a little bit. And this area we also refer to as the barrel. This whole area, it's sort of shaped like a barrel, but that is specifically where his ribs are located. This is the last one. Yep. All right, and last but not least, we have the nostril, number 4, which is located also on the muzzle. So there's not a whole lot of room for it here. But he has 2 nostrils, 1 on each side. So as you can see just from this video, our horses are very tolerant. They're used to us doing crazy things to them all the time, and they're very good sports. But this is, I think, a lot more fun way to learn parts of the horse. And you will use these in the future in our virtual programming. So we hope you enjoyed this segment, and we'll see you in the next segment.